And we're back.
Either take delivery of the physical gold, hold the instrument as a gold-backed asset, or convert it to dollars/yuan if they choose. Why this matters?
This is the first step toward pricing commodities in gold terms rather than dollar terms. If oil transactions start settling in gold-backed instruments, the pricing mechanism shifts from dollars per barrel to grams of gold per barrel. This does not require abandoning the dollar entirely. It creates an alternative settlement option. But once the alternative exists and is used by major commodity exporters, the dollar's monopoly on commodity pricing begins eroding. Policy change 2.
Yeah, I'll just comment on that real quick. It's pretty interesting. It'll be grams per barrel. Now, gold, I have gold, but I'm not a gold bug. It seems to me that gold is going to stay where it's at or go higher. I don't anticipate it going down back into the 16s or something. It just isn't going to happen because this is the new world and gold is suddenly, and thankfully I should say, it's actually going to back a currency rather than this fiat that we are currently using, which, fiat just means by decree in Latin. We state, this money is money, believe in it, there's nothing behind it except our words. But have faith and spend. And America has spent. Yes. We just accepted it. Why did we do that when Nixon decoupled? Why did we allow that to happen? And even if it happened without our consent, why did we just acquiesce and accept that instead of rising up as a people and saying, no, we do not consent to that? Because it's led to our ruin. Because we're in ruin now. Because these people in charge, they use that system, the Petrodollar. I wrote an article for RT years and years and years ago, back in 2011 or something, about the danger of the petrodollar dynamic for the United States, and if we ever lost it. Well, we're losing it right now, and that's what this video is about. The loss of the petrodollar means that these people who own all this bond debt all over the world, sovereign bond debt, it's worthless. It's worthless. We're 40 trillion in debt. We live in a debt-based system, and the fiat, by decree, meaningless piece of paper dollar is worthless. Worthless. Okay? China is building a system where their unit of measure, the yuan, which we'll say the yuan is like the dollar, okay, close enough. It is a gold-backed yuan, not a word-backed yuan, by proven liars. Now, I'm not applauding the Chinese party in any way or shape or form here. They're horribly despotic. They're the template for the New World Order with their social credit score, carbon footprint bullshit. So China, I can admire for some things and despise for a great many things. I mean, Mao, he beat everyone. He beat Stalin. Hitler looks like a Bush League next to Mao. Mao is the king of murdering citizens, 40 million or more. Even Stalin kind of pales by comparison. But, whatever. This isn't a China bashing video. In that article, I explained what the petrodollar does. In 71, I think, 72, Nixon went to Saudi Arabia with, all the oil coming out of there, like, how can we get that oil secure for ourselves, And they made a deal with the Saudi king of that time, probably dead. Essentially that we will protect you from everyone that would come and try to take your oil, like us, kind of like the mob, when they walk into a little corner store, say, you know what, if you give us $100 a week, we'll make sure that no one messes with you. What they're really implying is we'll make sure if you give us $100 a week that we won't come in and fuck you up. And that's kind of what the U.S. did to Saudi Arabia. Along with that, the petrodollar dynamic has said, now, we will buy X amount of oil, we will protect you, we will sell you weapons, because they were the best in the world at the time. And in return, you have to buy and sell all oil in U.S. dollars. And not only that, they had to take, Saudi Arabia had to take the OPEC nations' profits and invest them in U.S. dollars and U.S. bonds and whatnot. So what a system for the U.S. That's why we've had this exorbitant privilege. We live so far above the standard of the rest of the world, and we don't deserve it because we've done it through murder, thievery, skullduggery, lying, deceit, blackmail. That's what this country has done, and that's why we enjoy the way of life that we do. So when I hear people say, this exorbitant privilege is great, I love it, and God loves America, and the things we've done, I severely doubt that God loves America. I mean, really think about that, guys. It's just, it's stunning is what it is. And, I ended that article where is Nixon going to sit on the the Damocles sword? Is it going to fall or not? Well, it's falling right now, He got out from under it before it fell, and the U.S. decided to just sit on that throne, and now that sword is falling right through the skull of the U.S., and we are literally we're bent over the table, and we're going to take it hard. All this exorbitant privilege people have enjoyed for years, and now we're all soft. Hands are soft. Everything's soft about us because we don't know hardship. That's why Iran is kicking our ass, because hardship for them has just been a generational way of life. We're over here with this exorbitant privilege at their expense, by the way. We enjoy everything, homes at 68 degrees in the middle of summer, and it's disgusting. I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted with myself that I am part of this system. I didn't ask to be, I didn't. It doesn't mean I want to sit in a dirt hut somewhere sweating my nuts off. But at the same time, I cannot get behind exorbitant privilege as a earned privilege. Let's just be clear about that. We haven't earned it. We've stolen it. And we've got recompense coming our way very shortly.
PBOC Cross-Border Precious Metals Flow Amendment, May 3, 2024. The People's Bank of China amended regulations governing cross-border precious metals movements under Circular PBOC-2024-0156. The amendment creates a new category of strategic reserve transfers that are exempt from standard capital controls and reporting requirements. The language is deliberately vague, but the practical effect is clear. China can now move large quantities of gold and silver across borders without those flows showing up in standard trade or capital flow statistics. What this enables, if China wants to transfer 100 tons of gold to a Belt and Road country to facilitate trade settlement, that transfer can happen outside normal customs and banking reporting channels. This is critical for establishing gold-backed trade arrangements without telegraphing every move to Western financial intelligence. Why this matters. Sovereign gold movements typically leave data trails, shipping manifests, customs declarations, banking records. This amendment creates a legal framework for moving precious metals between sovereigns without creating those trails. If you were trying to build a gold-backed trade settlement system without Western interference or front running, you need the ability to move metal quietly. This regulation provides that. Policy Change 3, Hong Kong Monetary Authority Vault Licensing, May 22, 2024. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority approved new vault licensing for a category called cross-border settlement custody under Circular HKMA-2024-0089. This license lets vaults hold precious metals on behalf of multiple sovereigns simultaneously with segregated accounting for settlement purposes. What this enables, imagine a vault in Hong Kong that holds gold allocated to China, Russia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, and South Africa simultaneously. Each sovereign has segregated ownership, but the vault operates as a central clearinghouse for settlement between these countries. If Russia sells oil to China instead of Russia shipping gold to China or vice versa, the settlement happens through reallocation of vault holdings. Russia's allocated gold decreases by X tons, China's increases by X tons. No physical shipment required. Instant settlement. Why this matters? This is the infrastructure for a multilateral gold-backed settlement system. It allows BRICS countries to trade with each other using gold-backed settlements without moving physical metal across borders for every transaction. The vault operates like a central clearinghouse for gold-backed trade among countries that do not want to use the dollar system, and it is located in
Petrodollar has the SWIFT system. That's what they're doing, is they're creating their version of a SWIFT system. So they don't have, if they're buying 5 million gallons of oil, they don't have to, okay, we're going to load up the trucks and bring the gold to you, craziness, man. It's all good.
Hong Kong, outside direct Western financial jurisdiction, but within China's control. Connecting all three policy changes. SGE modification allows gold-backed settlement.
And see, part of what Trump has done with Iran, he's proven to the world that we are not the badasses that we've been bragging about the whole time. We cannot project power over China. We cannot do it. And the only way we could do it is with nukes, but we're not going to do that because they are just as powerful as we are, and so is Russia. And between Russia and China, they would just leave the entire United States a smoking crater, which ruins the whole world, including them, because we would blast off God knows how many. So, yeah, the mutually assured destruction is a concept that even psychopaths can agree is not in anyone's best interest. There is no just like a general, let's just lob this one little nuke over here on Tehran and just be done with it. That ain't going to happen, because if they do that, that sends a message to the world that the United States is willing to selectively nuke a country if they give us too much shit. And, how is China and how is Russia going to settle for that? They're not. We would be jacked, and that would be end game over. So that ain't going to happen, and they cannot beat. I'm referring to the country I live in as they. The United States of America cannot defeat Iran in a conventional war. Iran is too prepared. Their armaments are created in such a way that it renders our big, clumsy, cumbersome military machine, the Navy, primarily, not useless, of course, because of their vast amount of missiles and bullshit, but this new type of warfare. It reminds me of the British and the Americans. When the British came here, they stood in rows because they were accustomed to the way of fighting in Europe. They would stand in rows. The bottom guys would kneel down, one knee in the ground, have their rifles, the guys above them, rifles over their head, and they would try shooting at the enemy. Well, in Europe, the enemy was stupid enough to stand there, however far apart, doing the exact same physical maneuver of kneeling and standing and pointing, and then they would let loose. And then those guys would drop and another row would come up to insanity. Well, here in America, I don't know who it was because history is such a lying sack of shit, but someone was like, you know what? Fuck that. We're going to hide behind trees and they can line up all they want and we will just shoot, shoot, shoot. And that's what they did. And I'm not going to say that that is the genesis of guerrilla warfare because we simply don't know. But I will say that in the beginning, fighting the British, the Americans employed guerrilla warfare against Great Britain. And that was a big reason that we succeeded. Of course, the whole thing was prepared and organized for us to succeed. It was inevitable that we would succeed. It's not because of guerrilla warfare. This was the plan by the people in place that maybe not, that literally planned this stuff out for centuries in advance. The great work. That's what they refer to it. And all of us little plebes, we are referred to by them as, and you're going to love this, the profane. We are the profane. Those assholes who kill millions of people and poison the world and start wars, and they're not profane. No, they don't consider themselves profane. They are the very definition of profane in my view and my take on that very word. Yet that is how they feel about us. I know it's so far, of course, from what this guy's talking about, but in a way it ties in.
Instruments for commodity trades. PBOC amendment allows quiet movement of gold across borders without data trails. HKMA vault license increasing infrastructure for multilateral gold settlement clearinghouse. This is not unrelated technical adjustments. This is a coordinated infrastructure built for a parallel commodity settlement system priced in gold instead of dollars. And the timing, all three within 6 weeks, signals the system is approaching operational status, not landing status. Now let me show you the historical precedent for what China is attempting, why it has failed every time it has been tried before, and what is different this time. The Bretton Woods system, 1944 to 1971, was gold-backed settlement that worked for 27 years. Under Bretton Woods, the dollar was convertible to gold at $35 per ounce, and other currencies were pegged to the dollar. International trade was effectively priced in gold terms because dollars were gold-backed. The system collapsed in 1971 when the U.S. could not maintain gold convertibility due to trade deficits and Vietnam War spending. Nixon closed the gold window, and the world moved to fiat currency floating exchange rates. Why Bretton Woods failed. The U.S. ran persistent trade deficits that drained gold reserves. Foreign central banks accumulated dollars and began demanding gold redemption. U.S. gold reserves fell from 20,000 tons to 8,000 tons. The system became...
They lost. They had to give up 12,000 tons of gold. You know, France, no dummies there, they actually pulled a warship into New York. United States of America, New York. A France warship demanding their gold back. They were not jacking around. And they got it. Because ultimately, bullies are pussies.
Unsustainable. Lesson. A gold-backed system fails when the anchor country runs deficits it cannot cover with gold reserves. China's system is different in three critical ways. Difference 1. China runs trade surpluses, not deficits. The U.S. in the 1960s...
Yeah, he is pointing out that we run deficits, which is another way of saying debt. We are a debt-based system, which is the most destructive financial system ever devised by man, because not only is it doomed to fail, which it is, it's failing, or it has failed in real time right now, but it destroys and diminishes the soul of man, because they are the ones living in a debt-based system. A mortgage for your house. Mortgage literally means death contract. Okay? Government literally means mind control. Now, I'm not making this up. Go check yourself if you don't believe me. So the system itself is designed to keep us in a low vibrational state, which is a state of worry and fear. Fear we can't make our mortgage. Fear we can't get enough money to make our pay for food. Fear we can't do this. Fear we can't do that. Anxiety, fear, Prozac, Zoloft. What a mess, you know. And it's all because of a debt-based system. And the fact that we are paying. Birds don't pay to breathe or to fly and sit on a tree. Squirrels don't have to rent the damn tree they're in. Deer don't have to, rent their plot. All these animals live all over the world for free. Humans are the only ones that literally have to pay to exist. Think about that. Just think about it. It's a pretty bizarro concept, but it's true.
Was running trade deficits and losing gold. China runs $800+ billion annual trade surpluses and is accumulating gold. If China anchors a gold-backed settlement system, they are receiving gold from trading partners, not losing it. The dynamic that killed Bretton Woods is reversed. Difference 2. China is not making yuan convertible to gold. Bretton Woods failed partly because dollar-to-gold convertibility created a run on U.S. gold reserves. China's system does not make yuan convertible to gold. Instead, specific commodity transactions settle in gold-backed instruments. This limits redemption pressure to discrete transactions rather than open-ended currency convertibility. Difference 3. The system is multilateral, not unilateral. Bretton Woods centered on the U.S. as the sole anchor. China's system involves BRICS plus countries pooling gold reserves and...
Greed. That's why Bretton Woods failed. It was just had to be the U.S. dollar. China is including the BRICS nations, and what is there, BRIC, B-R-I-C-Q? There are 5, but there's actually quite a few more nations that are in the BRICS thing. They're just not going to extend that acronym to some silly BRICS-PSZTBBBB, like LGBTQTA, blah, blah, whatever, all that bullshit. But anyway, China has been around for thousands and thousands of years. And America, we got this big, 250-year birthday coming up. We are a flash-in-the-pan experiment, my friends. And the wisdom of Iran in their fight against us, it's just so blindingly evident, and in China's move, so blindingly evident. However, I do remind you that this is all controlled and contrived and directed and orchestrated. And the people running Iran, the people running China, the people running our country, not our country, because hopefully others than U.S. are watching this video. I don't know, but hopefully. And if you are, say it. But don't not like him, tell me how much silver and gold you stock and where do you live? And what the fuck? Who the fuck would do that?
shared settlement infrastructure, the HKMA vault system. No single country bears all the redemption risk. It is distributed across multiple sovereigns, who are all accumulating gold simultaneously. Historical attempts that failed. Libya, 2011. Muammar Gaddafi proposed a Pan-African gold-backed currency for oil trade. Libya was invaded 6 months later. Gold reserves were seized.
That's right.
Project ended. Iraq, 2000. Saddam Hussein attempted to price oil in euros backed by gold convertibility. Iraq was invaded in 2003. Project ended. Why those failed? Small countries attempting gold-backed systems without military protection for sufficient gold reserves to defend against the Western's financial and military pressure. Why China is different. China is not Libya or Iraq. China is a nuclear power with a $17 trillion economy, the world's largest manufacturing base, and the second largest military. China cannot be invaded to stop a gold-backed system. China has accumulated 5,000 to 7,000 tons of gold, official plus unreported, plus 150 plus million ounces of silver annually. This is sufficient to back significant commodity trade volumes.
Here's the thing. I'm going to talk about silver real quick here. Silver is not just a thing you make jewelry out of anymore. And if you've been watching this, you understand. I'm not going to go ad nauseum here. But silver is a critical component in at least 5 different major burgeoning industries that all have to do with the New World Order and the WEF, and their 2030 and going green and no carbon dioxide, which is just insane because that just means no people, people, you guys understand that you breathe in oxygen, you expel carbon dioxide. The trees take that and they turn it into oxygen, which we breathe. It's a trading system. So when they're cutting down vast tracts of forest, they're eliminating the ability of human beings to have the exchange system of oxygen and carbon dioxide to take place. It is utter insanity if you live in a world where life is valued, but this world that we live in is satanically run, and that low vibrational entity wants death. It's a death cult, okay? It's a death cult that runs this world. So they don't really mind. From their standpoint, they're doing an outstanding job. Like, hey, shit, we got another 30% of the rainforest cut down, and it's crazy. We want life, they want death. That's the thing. It's an order versus chaos deal, and you gotta wonder at a point, what is order and what is chaos? Because right now, this system we have with cash money and all this, it's chaos, but it's a good human system, and I can live with it. Order means that everything is tracked and traced, and there is no deviation from any established norm. That is order. So, and I know I'm bucking the trend here, but I would say that, or posit that, Satanists, the satanically run agenda, they want order. And we, human beings, with all of our foibles and messiness and mistakes, we want chaos. I want chaos, as much as sounds like an unclean word. It really isn't, because humans are messy people, and chaos is part of our makeup. So why would we remove that to be subject to the demands of pure order? No. That maketh no senseth to meeth. Bible speak, yeah. Yeah.
China controls 30% plus of global manufacturing, giving them structural leverage over trade partners who need Chinese goods. The historical lesson is clear. Gold-backed settlement systems fail when attempted by militarily weak countries with insufficient gold reserves. China is neither. Now let me show you why silver is the more strategically critical piece of this puzzle than gold, and why China's silver accumulation changes everything for the physical silver market. Gold gets the headlines. Silver is the strategic lever. Gold is prestigious. Gold is recognized as a reserve asset. Gold-backed settlements sound credible to sovereign trading partners. But gold has a problem. There is not enough of it for the transaction volumes China needs. The math problem with gold-only settlement. China's annual imports, approximately $2.6 trillion. China's annual exports, approximately $3.4 trillion. Net trade volume, $6 trillion annually. If even 10% of China's trade moves gold-backed settlement, that is $600 billion in annual transaction volume. At current gold prices, approximately $2,350 per ounce. $600 billion requires 8,160 tons of gold in annual transaction settlements. China's estimated gold reserves, 5,000 to 7,000 tons total. That is enough to back 70 to 85% of one-year settlement volume, assuming 10% grade conversion. Not enough for sustained multi-year operation. Silver solves the volume problem. Total global above-ground gold, approximately 210,000 tons. Total global above-ground silver, approximately 2 billion ounces, approximately 62,000 tons. Silver is 3.4 times more abundant than gold by weight, but in monetary terms, it is 75 times more abundant. Gold to silver ratio at current prices is approximately 75 to 1. If China uses a bimetallic settlement system, high-value transactions in gold, medium-value transactions in silver, they can operate a gold-backed system with much larger transaction capacity. Example settlement structure. Transactions above $100 million, gold-backed instruments. Transactions $10 to $100 million, silver-backed instruments. Transactions below $10 million, UN or other fiat. This structure allows China to settle hundreds of billions in commodity trade using their combined gold and silver reserves without depleting either. Why China is accumulating 150 plus million ounces of silver annually? This is not for industrial use. China's industrial consumption is approximately 200 million ounces, and domestic production is 116 million ounces. If they were only satisfying industrial demand, imports would be 84 million ounces, not 240 plus million. The surplus 150 plus million ounces is strategic accumulation for monetary settlement purposes. And here's why that changes everything for the silver market. The silver market is 10 times smaller than gold. Annual silver mine production, approximately 830 million
If
ounces.
you really want to hear that,
Annual
just
gold
go
mine
back to where I
production,
started speaking it
approximately
up and cut it
110
down to
million ounces,
feet,
3,500
and it would be
tons.
just like
In dollar
speaking.
terms, gold production, approximately $260 billion annually. Silver production, approximately $19 billion annually.
The reason
Silver
they
is the
have
tiny
this
market compared to
deficit,
gold.
or what they're
If
calling
China is
a
accumulating
problem to being able to implement fully their system, is they're doing it honestly. Okay, like, okay, we don't have enough to honestly make this work. Whereas in the U.S., we're like, we're just going to decouple the dollar from gold entirely, and we just say whatever we want and do whatever we want, you know. And that's the difference here, and that's why China's going to succeed. And on silver, I'm sorry, I did digress. I'm not ADD. I don't think I am anyway. What was I talking about? No, I'm just kidding, man. Silver. It is used in these other industries, so it's no longer just a store of value or B, a thing for pretty jewelry. It is now a massively required critical element in the production of silver and batteries and bombs and all that bullshit, you know. So, you know, all of us silverbugs, in 1934, they took silver. 33 got all the headlines about the gold repatriation. 34, they did the same thing with silver. Look it up, you don't believe me. And this government, this lawless administration, they have no regard for the Constitution, no regard for the rule of law. They have no regard for anything except what they want to do. And it is not just Trump. And Trump's an actor under orders to be as outrageous an agent of chaos as he can without getting his head blown off by some righteous person. I don't know if I should say that because I don't mean it. I'm not going to do it. I don't advise anyone to do that. God will take care of him. But yeah. So my point here is that they could very well issue a silver repatriation any day now. They've already got it devalued to 75 when it's trading at 120 in Shanghai. You know the difference there? $45 an ounce? That's crazy. That's what it should be here in the U.S. And it's going to go more because when they finally take the supply of silver and the value of what is needed and they plug in all the numbers, we're going to have a whole new value per ounce for silver that is reflective of the true supply-demand dynamic. So silver could be $300 an ounce. I don't know if it will be. But again, you know, with hyperinflation as a birth pang child of the failure of the petrodollar system, even if silver's $300 an ounce, well, woo, man, we go out and buy 6 weeks ago. No, because with hyperinflation, a loaf of bread's going to be $300 an ounce. So it devalues when the currency is utterly devalued and your metal price goes up, that is not some super special great thing for you. It just means your metal now will have to be used to buy far less because you get with me here. Are you getting what I'm saying? You as Richie from Boston say, are you picking up what I'm laying down? You know, you get what I'm saying. I truly hope you do. My position, I am getting out of silver for the most part, and very soon. And I'm going to go back and put most of it into gold, because gold is the millennial store of value. Gold has this hollowed, do not fuck with me, and America does not have the balls to go and try to repatriate people's gold again, because that would be a problematic thing for everyone.
150 million ounces annually, 18% of global production, for sovereign monetary purposes. They are removing supply at a rate that the market cannot sustain without price adjustment. Industrial users cannot outbid sovereigns. If China, and potentially Russia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, are accumulating silver for monetary settlement systems, they will pay whatever price necessary to acquire the metal. Industrial users, solar panel manufacturers, electronics companies, automakers cannot compete with sovereign bid prices. At $30 per ounce silver, the silver content in a solar panel is $12 to $15. If silver goes to $60, the panel cost increases by $12 to $15. Manufacturers will pay it because there is no substitute. But more importantly, if sovereigns are bidding for 200 plus million ounces annually for monetary purposes, the price will move to whatever level reduces industrial demand enough to free up supply for sovereign accumulation. The supply shock scenario. If China publicly announces a gold and silver-backed settlement system for Belt and Road trade, every sovereign that wants to participate will need precious metals reserves. Russia, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iran, Brazil, South Africa, all will need to accumulate silver for settlement purposes. Current sovereign silver holdings are minimal because silver is not recognized as an official reserve asset. If even 5 to 10 sovereigns attempt to accumulate 50 to 100 million ounces each simultaneously, that is 500 to 1,000 million ounces of sovereign bid pressure on a market that produces 830 million ounces annually and has minimal above-ground inventory available for purchase. The pricing implications are severe. When sovereigns compete with industrial users for limited silver supply, the price discovery mechanism breaks. Sovereigns do not care about price. They care about acquiring the necessary reserves to participate in the new settlement system. This is not speculation. This is the mathematical outcome of adding sovereign monetary demand to an industrial commodity market that already operates in structural deficit. Now let me give you the timeline indicators to watch that will confirm whether China's system is moving from infrastructure build to operational deployment. Indicator 1, BRICS Summit announcements, October 2024. The next BRICS Summit is scheduled for October 8 Russia. Watch for any language regarding alternative settlement mechanisms for commodity trade, multilateral currency arrangements backed by reserve assets, new development bank gold-backed instruments. If any of these phrases appear in official summit communique, it signals the system is approaching public announcement phase. Indicator 2, Saudi Arabia oil settlement announcements. Saudi Arabia's 50-year Petrodollar agreement with the U.S. expired in June 2024 and was not renewed. This removes the legal obligation for Saudi Arabia to price oil exclusively in dollars. Watch for announcements from Saudi Aramco over the Saudi oil agreement, accepting alternative settlement currencies for oil exports, establishing yuan-denominated oil trading, gold-backed payment instruments. If Saudi Arabia begins accepting non-dollar
We have no
settlement,
presence in the Middle East anymore, thanks to Trump and the war.
Shanghai Gold Exchange International Volume.
All of the
SGE
bases
has more volumes
are
relatively small compared to
destroyed.
COMEX and LBMA. If volume spikes by 200 to 300%, it signals foreign entities are beginning to use the gold-backed settlement mechanisms. Track monthly SGE volume reports. A sustained increase above 50 tons per month in international port transactions would indicate operational deployment. Indicator 4, Hong Kong vault utilization. The new cross-border settlement custody vault licensing was approved in May. Watch for multiple sovereigns licensing vaults under this category. Large gold shipments to Hong Kong, 100 plus tons in short periods.
You know, I don't know
Announcements of
who's really
multilateral
going to do
vault
all that.
facilities. If Russia,
I
Iran,
don't,
or Saudi
honestly,
Arabia
because
establish
this
allocated
cat
positions in
does,
Hong Kong
or
vaults,
this
it confirms the
AI,
multilateral
whatever.
clearinghouse is being
Anyway,
populated.
I don't want this to
Indicator
be
5,
too long.
Chinese
I'm
silver
going
forward
to sign
acceleration.
off voice reading.
Current pace,
This is part 2,
240
last
million
part
ounces
on this
annually.
video.
If imports spike to
And
350
the
to
title of this
400 million
video,
ounces,
China
it
is
signals
probably
China is
doing
front-running their
this
own
with gold and
announcement by
silver.
securing additional silver
And
reserves before the
the
system goes
author
public.
of the video,
Watch Hong Kong monthly trade data for silver import spikes. Indicator 6, Western financial media
Economic
ban.
Shadows.
When
You
Bloomberg,
can
Financial
find him
Times, and
under
Wall
that.
Street Journal start publishing articles
There's a whole
about
bunch of
China's
them. John
gold-backed threat to
OG,
dollar hegemony,
AG,
it means
John
Western
Blah. I don't know what
intelligence
this
has
thing is
confirmed the
with
system
John.
is real and
Anyway,
operational. The
thanks for
absence of
listening
these
if you
contract
hung
right
all
now
way.
means either
If
they
you
have
didn't,
not figured it
well,
out yet, or they have figured
if
it
you
out
didn't, you
and are
wouldn't hear
deliberately
me
not
say that.
reporting
It
it
doesn't
to
matter.
avoid accelerating the transition.
Good day to you all.
Timeline estimate. Based on the policy